Hello and welcome to episode 37 of Block Magazine. I'm Neil. I'm trying to remember to introduce myself because for the last 36 episodes I just assume everybody knows who I am. Don't you know who I am? And today I've got a lovely guest who I've been watching on her various channels for quite a while now. We've chatted in the background, haven't we, for a while? And it's Veronica of Night Stitch. So Veronica, tell us about yourself.
I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois, but I live in Iowa right now in the United States, and I started cross stitching in like 2013, like seriously. But my mom had taught me how when I was like 11 or something, because I saw her doing it and I was like, "Ooh, what are you doing?" So she explained and all of that, but then I didn't really like do it myself until I was in like college.
I love
Um,
how you say that you started doing it seriously.
yeah, because
Like it
I
was
she
like
had
earth changing.
because she had given me a few kits to do, but I never really like got into it and actually like worked on it. So that's the seriously part where I like actually started to do it and like made the picture.
So do you do any designing of cross stitch or because I do know you have an Etsy shop, I think, don't you? So I
Yeah,
just wondered what you do with your shop.
I have some needle minders, which are things that you put onto your fabric. So you have a magnet that has like a pretty pin or something on it, and then another magnet on the back, and you attach it to your fabric, and it holds your needle when you're stitching. So when you
Oh,
like pull
right.
the needle out, you can like drop the needle on the needle minder, so you don't have to like weave it through the fabric.
That's clever.
I have some of those, and then I do have two patterns that I have for sale. They're well, actually maybe three. I don't know. I design things that have words on them, so like quotes from movies or things that I like. Like the one I have says like courage is being brave while being scared shitless or something like that. So stuff like that. That
I
really.
like the one which I used for the thumbnail for this, which is what was it? How to spot supervillain, was it?
Yeah.
I just thought it was so brilliant. I thought, yeah, I've got to use that one. Have
Yeah.
you have you finished that one yet, or you? Well, it takes ages, doesn't it, to do a cross
Yeah,
stitch?
I didn't finish that one. I did add some more to it from that
So
portion.
your very first piece that you did when you were a kid, what did that look like?
It was a bride and a groom standing next to each other, and it was kind of like a cartoony style. So like, they had like really big faces, and they were kind of like, it was like really wide, and it was just the two of them, and she was holding like a bouquet, and
And more importantly, what was the back of it like?
I think it was all right because I stitched one X at a time. A lot of people stitch like the half cross and then they'll go all the way across with that one color and then come back. But I stitch one X at a time, so it kind of actually makes the back pretty okay, even if you're a beginner.
When you do that one half at a time, so people who don't cross stitch, hopefully you'll be able to imagine what we're talking about here. So you literally do a cross, don't you, when you're
Mm-hmm.
doing cross stitch? And which is it, top left to bottom right, or is it the opposite way around? I can't remember. People always seem to go in the same way, don't they?
Yeah,
Um, it's
usually.
hard to imagine what you do, isn't it? let's say, for argument's sake, it's top left to bottom right. I don't think it is that, but let's say it is. And then if you were doing one cross at a time, you would do the other side of it, and then you'd move along and do the next one, and so on. Or you'd work out, wouldn't you, into whatever formation you were doing of the same colour. But then some people think it's quicker by just doing half of it, going all the way along, and then coming back the other way. But what's the downside of doing it that way then? Why is that not as neat as doing individual crosses?
I think it's because sometimes you end up like you can miscount. Like, I'm really bad at counting, which I find is really funny because I'm really bad at counting, but what's my favorite hobby? Counted cross stitch. Ooh.
I'm the same. I don't know whether you'll know about this, but I've just had a massive knitting pattern F up.
Oh no.
The whole point of it was that I counted my stitches wrong. The pattern works fine, but the initial number of stitches, I'd done it in blocks, and instead of counting 50 stitches per block, I counted 100 stitches per block. So it ended up being so much bigger, but I didn't realise until after. So like you, I can't count. I can do maths, but I can't count.
So I think I don't actually know because I think it still keeps the back neat if you're doing like half across and then half back. It's only crazy if you're like dragging your thread from, say you've got like a 10 by 10 block of colors, and if there's different colors, but then there's one color way up here, and you drag your thread way up here, that's when the backs get crazy.
So would you cut that then and then
Yeah, like
have a
I would.
completely
Some
separate
people
bit of
don't,
thread?
but yeah, I
Yeah,
would.
I can see the temptation though, because you don't want to, you can't be bothered cutting it, weaving it in, and then doing another one. So I can see the
Right.
temptation of wanting to stretch it over. But
Yeah.
then does that show through though? Then sometimes, depending on the color.
Depending on the pattern, actually. If it's full, like stitched, all the blocks are stitched, you can't really tell because you'll end up stitching over it. But if it's a pattern with like words or something, and you have to have a space in between the letters, then you can see behind.
Right, and then so when you do cut the yarn, how do you? Because I've done three tiny cross stitches, but I'm no expert at it all. But I know by the third one, I'd got a little bit better at sort of hiding the threads at the back, and I used to weave them in sort of just behind those stitches on the back. But the problem I had was often I didn't leave enough thread, and then it was trying to get that tiny bit of thread that's only a centimetre long to go under. Is there a sort of standard length that you're supposed to leave before you weave it in, or is that just down to individual people?
Um, I usually, so when you thread the needle and you've got the thread, the long part, and you have the little short part, I usually leave it like if I'm stitching and I want to leave maybe like half an inch or 3/4 of an inch out of the needle on the shorter part. And that usually helps because if it's way too short, then like you'll be stitching and the needle, like the thread will just come out of the needle.
Sorry,
So
if you
at
can
that
hear a
point,
cat crying in the background, one of my cats is just going a bit crazy. There's nothing wrong with him. He just sounds like he's dying. He's going, rah, rah, rah. I don't actually know what's wrong with him. He's fine.
it's hilarious.
You probably
Um,
can't even hear it, but I can hear it really loud. So, so what was the reason you had the big? So when you first learned, and did you say you were 11, or was it 11, 12,
yeah.
something like that? Obviously, when you're 11 and 12, everything else is more important than cross stitch, isn't it? There's nothing about it that's probably going to keep you doing it. But what brought you back to it? Why did you suddenly start doing it again?
I think my mother had sent me some of my old kits to my college address. And I was like, oh yeah, I used to do this. This is cool. So then I was like looking at stuff, and it had changed so much from when I was little, because when I was little, you would go to the craft store, and here we have Hobby Lobby and Michael's and Joann's, and they sell cross-stitch kits. So you would just get the kit. So it comes with the fabric and the floss and a needle, and it comes with all the stuff. But now there's like digital patterns and like fancy fabric. And so it was like, oh, this is even more exciting than it was before. So,
Well, yeah, this is something that I learned from your podcast, which I, when you just don't think something is a thing. I mean, I've been knitting for years now and crocheting, and so I know all about hand-dyed yarns and things like that. It never entered my head that there would be such a thing as hand-dyed floss for cross stitching, because I just assumed that the designer is telling you, no, that has to be that orange, no other color apart from that orange, and you have to do that. But then you even have again, I didn't know until you showed us, you even have dyed Ada or dyed cloth as well.
yeah.
So when you buy things like that and the thread, is that so you can cross stitch sort of your own thing, or is it what's the decision where you would buy dyed thread as opposed to, a standard DMC orange or blue or whatever? Why would you do that?
The dyed thread, some of the patterns actually call for it. So there would be like different companies that make the dyed thread. So then you'll have like a pattern and it says it calls for this brand of thread, and it happens to be like the dyed fancy stuff. So that's one of the reasons. And then the other reason is, you can substitute for your own, like if you want to make a pretty thing.
So the people that dye the thread is usually a company rather than, say, like a person in their kitchen, because that's kind of a lot of the yarn dyers do it from their kitchen sink. Well, not all, but some do. But so you don't really have people just doing it with whatever colours without a reason for that colour, or is that just another aspect of it?
I think there's both. I think there's companies that do it, and I also think there's people that do it. Like, I have a fabric dyer. She also dyes floss, but I only really buy the fabric because I have enough floss to last me 5,000 years. So she dyes floss as well, and she's just somebody living in, one of the states in America. So, but then DMC also has the fancy, like, colored stuff too, and they're, the big company, so they do that too.
I love this. I love how whenever anybody on a podcast talks about any kind of craft, it immediately makes everyone else want to go and do that craft. And I'm exactly the same. I only have to see someone holding up a ball of yarn and I need it. I need it more than life,
Right.
So,
yes.
So thrifty chickadee, get out there and do some cross stitch. She's just put a little caveat there. She meant to say project.
Yes.
I'm no cross stitch pattern maker.
Yes.
But I'm sure you could be. So what's your just thinking too faster than I can talk. When you did your own designs, at what point did you do that, and what was the reason for deciding to start designing as opposed to just doing other people's?
Actually, can I go get one of my things I designed?
Of course, yeah.
I forgot as well. I'm forgetful today.
That's all right. So everyone, thank you for coming back. We were supposed to go live on Tuesday, and I was a little bit under the weather, so we've postponed it until today. So thankfully, I'm okay. Otherwise, I'd have been running backwards and forwards.
Okay. Sorry about that. I'm back, but this is one of the patterns I designed.
Let me make you bigger if I can remember how to do it.
This is from 2020.
Oops. Oh, sorry, I did the wrong thing then.
That's okay. This is from 2020, and I think it's self-explanatory, but I'll explain it anyway. So the design, I was just mad because everything was crazy and annoying me, and even cross-stitch groups were getting mean and weird, and so I was like, you know what? Fuck you all. So, and this is an example of the fancy colored thread.
So that's the hand dyed thread, is it?
Yeah.
Ah, right. So when you did that, you weren't following the color on the chart. You were just doing all of those letters and seeing how it randomly colored.
Yeah.
See, that's the fun bit, isn't it? That's a bit like when you're knitting. It's always fun to not quite know what's coming next.
Yes.
Yeah. That's great. That reminds me of, what's that famous actress called? Whenever she's on set, she's always doing cross-stitch or embroidery.
Judi Dench.
And Yes, Judi Dench.
Yeah.
What kind of things does she do? Because you know about her, obviously.
Oh, dear. She does swear
You
words.
can say it. Yeah, if you've got children in the room, just block their ears for a second.
She is very funny and sarcastic, and so she'll stitch things like cunt. And then she'll give it to her co-stars. Not because she thinks that about them, but just because it's funny. Because, you
She was
laugh.
thinking of them as she did it. I love how you say that word. You say it as if it's a nice word, not like we would say it here.
Yeah, it still means the same, not a nice word here too.
But I love that kind of, what's the word? It's juxtaposition, isn't it? Between something that is seen as being, very ladylike and very sort of demure, and then you're writing on this, the most revolting things possible. I think there's
Yeah,
something really good
that's
about
kind
that.
of what mine is.
Yeah, I'll just make it big again. Hold on.
Sorry, I keep taking it back, but yeah, I don't know. I was like trying to make myself feel better. Like, you will get through this. It's fine.
And did it make you feel better?
Yeah.
Brilliant. So that was your first design, was it? That one? So, and are your other designs the same? Are they, well, not the same, but are they words, or do you do pictures as well?
They are words so far. The courage one is like, no, how does it go? I can never remember. Courage is being brave despite being scared shitless.
Yeah.
And then I have another one. It's from the Enigma movie with Benedict Cumberbatch. It's like no one, I don't know, it's that play on the imagine, where it's like sometimes you can only imagine. I don't know, I'm going to butcher it. I could get it on my computer, but...
So, and when you do the designs, do you use software, or do you chart them out on graph paper, just pen and paper?
Both. I have a program that I use that is called PC Stitch, and I can enter stuff in there and design things. And I also have graph paper if I want to. Oh, you know what? I could just go to my Etsy shop and make my life easier. I was trying to go to like IMDb.
Yeah, actually, what is your Etsy shop?
Oh my
If you
God.
tell us what your Etsy shop is, I'll put it up on the screen.
It's called Patriotic Stitcher.
It's just Patriotic Stitcher.
Yeah.
All one word.
Yes. Oh, there.
Okay.
Sometimes.
Hopefully is that right?
Can I see it?
Oh, can you not see it on
I
the
don't
screen?
see
No.
it on the screen, no.
Oh, sorry.
That's
It's
okay.
just Patriotic Stitcher, all one word, on Etsy. That's what I put. So, but if they do a search, they'll find you on that anyway, won't they? On the Etsy site, I think.
Yeah, you should.
I might be able to put it up on my screen. Hold on. Hopefully this will work.
Sorry, technological difficulties, everybody.
Did you do... Oh, no, that's not you. It's just somebody random doing patriotic stuff.
Oh, why on earth does it not do what I want?
This is the beauty of doing live, isn't it?
It is. I hope everybody.
Most of
okay
mine
with this.
are crazy, so don't worry. No, I can't find it. I'm afraid. But if you do a search for that, I'm sure you're going to bring it up. Does it come under your name as well, Veronica? If they do a search for Veronica and then Patriotic Stitcher.
My name's listed, so it should. Aw.
Don't worry.
Ooh.
They've taken you down. They've heard about you. They've heard you coming on Blocked, and they've taken you down.
Oh no. Oh no. What am I gonna do?
So when you choose a pattern to make that isn't one of your own, what kind of things do you look for? What draws you to a pattern?
When I'm making my own, or when I'm looking at someone else's?
When you're buying or making somebody else's design, I should have made that, but yeah. So what draws you to a pattern that someone else has produced, and you think, oh, I've got to do that one.
Well, I really like superheroes, so that really draws me. I like fancy words, like that one I showed you. If it's like a movie quote, I really like that.
So with the superheroes, do you like an actual sort of comic page that's been turned into a cross stitch, or just characters from comics? Or both?
Usually characters.
And actual comic characters or the film movie
The film.
versions? So and who's your favourite one so far?
Captain America.
Uh, had to be, didn't it? Patriotic. It had to be that one. So have you got Captain America to show us?
Yes.
Oh, let's have a look. Oh wow! I've just got to say, whenever I make the screen big for you, I can't speak, so I go quiet. So
Oh,
I
okay.
didn't realise how realistic it'd be. That's fantastic. Okay, I'm going to make you big again.
It's a photo of Chris Evans.
That is cool. And what's
Yeah.
on the right-hand side?
It's a quote from the Captain America Civil War movie, and I charted that myself.
Wow, that's dedication. That looks really good.
Thank you.
And what's and behind the quote, is
Scrapbook
that
paper.
cross stitched or is that just a background that you've chosen?
This is scrapbook paper back here. This red and white stuff. Because
Yeah, it works.
I scrapbook as well, so I usually combine scrapbook with cross stitch when I finish things.
Cool.
Yeah.
So when you do scrapbooking, so we're going off cross stitch slightly, but I mean I've never done scrapbooking, so it's a little bit of a new thing for me. But do you put your cross stitch in the book as well, or is it not? Is that not what scrapbooking is?
I could. I haven't yet, but I think actually got this idea the other day that I wanted to take some of my smaller cross stitch patterns. I haven't started them yet.
Yeah.
But stitch them and then put like 12 of them in like a calendar. And so then I could have like a calendar every day of one of my cross stitches.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're giving me ideas because I mean I was talking about this before. We've just this month launched cross stitch in the magazine as well. And although I'm not a cross stitcher, because I'm an artist, and I've worked out how to do the charts, and I've had people test a couple of pieces on it as well. I can do a cross stitch pattern, so I know I can do it. Because as long as I'm not trying to be too complicated, with some of the stitches that are way advanced, I can do a basic pattern. But you talking about the calendar has given me a few ideas, because what I'm hoping to do is have like a whole series for a year where everyone is kind of connected in some way, but they'll all be separate, but you could put them together in some kind of way or other. But I'll come on to that after, because I want to pick your brains when we get onto that, because you being the expert. So with the scrapbooking, what sort of drew you to that? Is it just your crafting instinct needed something else to do, or was there a reason for doing that?
The scrapbooking, actually, I had a friend who got married and his wife liked scrapbooking. And so I thought, oh, I could maybe, try to learn that so I can like have something in common with her so that I can like talk to her too when I'm at my friend's house. So I did that. And so, yeah, we scrapbooked
So
together. Because
so
scrapbooking
is
was
there
her thing, and then I kind of asked her
stole
about it.
stole
I,
her hobby off her?
yeah, no, yeah, no, I'm kidding. It was a way to get to know her better by like being interested in something she was
Yeah.
interested in, and then it was fun. So then I got interested in as well, and then her and I went to a few scrapbook like conventions together. Um,
Wow.
they don't have it anymore, but it was called Scrap Fest, and it was in Minnesota at the Mall of America, which is like the biggest mall in America. And so they used to have a scrapbook store called Archivers, and Archivers would hold the scrapbook convention, and so they'd have like classes and like workshops where they just have random like shopping or like projects you could get, and they would teach you things. And so we'd just go up there for a few days and do that, and then scrapbook our hearts out for 4 days and then come home.
So with scrapbooking, do you actually do bookbinding as part of that?
I haven't, no.
Yeah, but some people do, don't they? Some people.
Probably, yeah.
Is that still called scrapbooking, or is that a slightly different thing?
It's probably slightly different. Craft, scrapbooking is more like, I think it started with actually Mormons in Utah wanted to document genealogy, so like
Oh
family
yeah.
trees. So they would get like pictures or information and then write like the person's name and their birthday and death date and like how many kids they had and all that kind of stuff. And then it evolved into like, you remember that fun time that you had with your friends. So you take a bunch of pictures and then you like glue them all on a page and then you write journal stuff like I went here and I did this and
So it's a bit like an offline version of Facebook.
yes, that's a good way to put it. I never thought of it that way. That's cool. Yeah.
So scrapbook, Facebook, it's all the same.
Yeah.
Oh, Diana said something. I've never heard of this either. Something that's more like junk journaling. Have you ever heard of that?
Oh, no, I've never heard of that.
Oh, you can't see it, can you? Sorry, I keep thinking you can see. Yeah, she said it sounds more like junk journaling.
I guess there's that.
So I don't know. I suppose that's the same thing, just with a different name, isn't it?
Yeah, scrapbooking is now like, well, the ones I do less of the like, just have a picture and then like write a journal thing. I do more like fancy paper and there's like cutouts and stamps and like ink and just markers and just embellishments.
Well, then when you've created it, do you create it with the intention of writing on it? As in like sending somebody a letter or a birthday card or something, or do you kind of just keep them as little pieces? So they're just little pieces of artwork then, really, aren't they?
They're like decorations here. I think I actually have something here.
Okay, I'm going to make you big again.
I did. This was a...
How does that say, it'll be the death of you?
I'll be the death of you. I will. This is another cross-stitch related, because this is the pattern that I stitched. This isn't the cross-stitch, but this is the like cover photo of what it looked like when it was finished. But this is hanging in my office, the actual cross-stitch. But I did scrapbooking related to the pattern. So like it says, get this done. I stitched all the white on April 30th, 2021, and I finished it at 12:33 a.m. And I did all the black on May 8th, 2022. Just things like that. And I have when I started it and when I finished it. And then the time elapsed. It wasn't every day because I don't stitch on the same pattern every day, but it took me a year to finish it by, like putting it away and then not touching it for 4 months and that kind of stuff. So
you'd love, I'm not going to show it you yet. I'll take a picture of it another time and post it somewhere. But I did it was for my friend's 50th birthday years ago. This wasn't recently. And it was all the tickets of all the concerts and gigs that we'd been to over all the years, because we used to go to a lot of them together. So what I did, rather than sticking them, because I borrowed them without her knowing from her house, so technically stole them, and I just scanned them all, and then I did it all on the computer, and then I put them back so she didn't know I'd taken them, and then I got them printed out onto canvas. So we've got these big canvases, the pair of us now, with all of our tickets on, going back, to the 70s and 80s and things like that. And it's very much like that, all overlapping. And but it's great that you can use the pictures from the cross stitch in your scrapbooking as well, because I never considered that would be something you could do. Mm-hmm. But you can use pictures from anything, can't you? You can literally use any. Oh, let me make that one bigger.
This is another one of my I am angry, as it says here. Yeah. And
are a little bit like diaries in a way, aren't they?
A little bit.
So they're like a snapshot of time when you were pissed off and angry.
Yeah, because I'm like, what can I do? And
well, it's better than stabbing people, isn't it? So
right.
It's a bit more constructive.
I exercise a lot too to like expend pissed off energy, but creative stuff also really helps. So,
which do you prefer to do out of cross stitch and scrapbooking? Which to get more out of?
Cross stitch.
Why?
Because I think when I'm doing the cross stitch pattern and I start seeing the photo come out, it like really makes me happy, and so I want to keep doing it.
So yeah, I get that because of the knitting. I understand that. One of the things in the magazine that I've been doing is secret dishcloth patterns. So you don't know what they are. I chart them, but then I do a written pattern to go with it, and that's all that goes in the magazine. So when you're knitting it, you don't actually know what it's going to be until a certain point. Now, I wondered, is there a way of doing cross stitch like that?
Yes.
Because is there? Can you do secret cross stitch?
Yes.
And have you done it?
Yeah. I'm actually doing one today. There's a pattern that came out today. It's with the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. They're a cross stitch company. I think it's run by like two girls out of California. But they're like really well known, and they make like really cute. You've seen the castle pattern that I've shown you in our chats.
Oh yeah.
That's from them. But that was a secret cross stitch. So every month they send you one piece of the pattern, and then you stitch it, and then the next month they'll send you the other part, but you don't know what it is until the next month comes out.
So you do. So you get a piece of the image, so you can see. Because I was thinking, how do they write it? You know, how I was thinking it would be written out in long sentences. So it's a bit like a puzzle, really, a bit like a jigsaw, isn't it?
Yes.
But not. And so presumably they give you the pieces first that are the least likely to give away what the finished picture is. That is so cool. Do you know, I might steal that idea and do something like that. Because that would work for the thing over a year as well, wouldn't it? If there's only.
Yes.
But how long? When they do the pieces, you know, the separate individual pieces, how much do they give you to stitch each time?
I'd say they give like I don't know, maybe like a small rectangular or vertical, whatever, chunk of it. I think it also depends on the pattern. The Frosted Pumpkin has like, they usually stitch like little characters. So like the little people or like little animals or something. So they'll have like 2 or 3 little animals, and then they'll have some like background stuff. So it's kind of like one little scene out of like a movie or something each time.
Is it possible to, like, let's say it was a scene out of Bambi or something, I don't know, a Disney film, although you can't do that because of copyright, but let's just pretend, and you have all the characters there. Could you have a pattern where you only do the background so you can see the outline of where the rest of the pattern is going to go? Or is it always like a clear cut square or rectangle that you put together?
It can be whatever. Right,
okay.
Yeah. Because
that'd be quite cool as well, wouldn't it? If you know you're doing a background, but you don't know what that last character's going to be.
Yeah.
Because the other thing I was thinking is, like, everybody's different. But say a piece that's, I don't know, 2 inches by 2 inches. I mean, how long, because it can take ages, can't it, to do cross stitch? How long would that take an average cross stitcher, or is that just a silly question that no one can answer?
I can give like a vague answer. Like if you are stitching in 2 by 2, like 2 inches by 2 inches, if you stitched every day, you could probably get it done in like 2 or 3 days. And then if you stitched like all day, you could probably get it done in like a day if you were fast. But if you're like me and you have 48 projects and you want to work on all of them, then some of them don't get touched for 6 months. So, so then it takes a year and 45 days to actually finish something, but not because it took me a year stitching on it every day, because that would be I would be faster
crazy,
than
wouldn't
that.
it?
Yeah.
I love how much it's got in common with knitting and crochet, because you said earlier about the amount of stuff you've got, the stash of floss and like that, just completely goes in line with like the amount of yarn we all have and the amount of patterns we collect and never knit. Got a question here. Adam says they're called whips, works in progress, aren't they? So in cross stitch, do you call them whips as well?
Yes.
Yeah. So there's definitely a lot of crossover then, isn't there? And do you call do you have UFOs?
Yep, unfinished objects.
Right. Oh, so it's the same then, really. Well, I suppose
Yeah.
it's the same people who do it, isn't it? Because you often get a crossover with it, don't you? Yeah, I did have another question, and it's kind of gone now. So I'm just going to share another post that Adam's put. I don't know whether you can see this or not, but he was talking about the scrapbooking, and he said that he used to do that as a kid in the UK. I would cut out the Radio Times, which is a magazine that tells you what's on the radio and TV, on Wimbledon, which is the tennis, and then paste them in a scrapbook with my nan.
Yeah.
She was a knitter and a crafter. Oh, that's quite cute, isn't it?
Yeah. I got the quote that I forgot from the Imitation Game, and I put it in our private chat.
Yeah, I'll post that on there, so hold on. I think I can share this.
It's the other one I designed, and it's, I think, yellowy.
So this is the quote from before that Veronica couldn't quite remember. So sometimes it is the people no one can imagine anything of who do the things no one can imagine.
Yeah.
The Imitation Game quote. Wow, I'd have to sit and think about that one for a minute.
I know, right? That's why I was like having a hard time remembering it.
It's a bit of a tongue twister in your head, isn't it?
Oh.
So what are you working on at the moment? Are you able to show us, or is it all in bags in cupboards? And
I have one I could bring out here if you give me
a sec. Cool, if you don't mind. Yeah. While we're waiting, just to let you know, the issue 14 of Blocked has been released today. So when you've finished watching, please go and open the magazine and have a read. We'll talk a little bit more about that later on.
All right. This is currently on my... This is called a Q-snap. It's a white frame that's a PVC pipe. You just stick it together.
And have you put the material around it just so it's softer on your hands, or is there a reason for that?
It's to keep the fabric from getting dust on it.
Oh, right.
It's called a grime guard.
I'm overthinking everything. I'm thinking everything's more complicated than it actually is.
I actually made this.
Ah.
So it's elastic, and it's a big circle. And you stretch it around and there's all different sizes. So I have an 11 by 14 Q-snap, so I made this to fit around that. But it's Captain America, of course, because...
Well, why not?
Because I do that. Oh, man, I should have brought the photo, too, of the thing that I'm stitching, because it doesn't make any sense right now.
Yeah, Dana has called that a grime guard. So it must be a thing.
Yes.
Must be something other people have done as well. And she says the Q-snap holds the fabric. Oh, let's see that one. Hold on.
Is Patrick Bateman from American Psycho? He's screaming.
That should be in your bedroom, I hope, to scare you.
It's hilarious. And my other favorite actor is Christian Bale. The scrapbook thing was him on there. But this is that right? No, that's upside down. So that's the tip of his nose. Right here. And then this is like just me going up. I can't do this backwards thing on my own computer. These are needle minders that I was talking about, where they have magnets on the back and the front, and then your needle just hangs out there.
It's clever. Who invented that idea?
I don't know, but they're a genius.
Yeah, because I remember watching years ago a woman talking about cross-stitch, where she was saying that she went to the hospital once and she was having problems. She thought she had breast cancer, and she had, is it a mammogram, where they scan it? And there was actually a needle, a cross-stitch needle, that had somehow embedded itself in her breast and worked its way in. And she didn't know how, because obviously, you know, if you're cross-stitching, you probably, you know, put it in your sleeve of your jumper while you go and do something else. And then before you know it, it's in you, know. And but I just think surely you'd have felt it, but maybe not. Maybe, you know.
Oh
But
wow.
I only know about needles from more from doing darning in wool. When I've knitted something, but they
Mm.
are always falling down the side of the settee.
Mm.
I always lose them. I have to keep buying them, and then I find a load of them together.
Yeah.
So that idea is brilliant.
Hmm.
Um,
Sometimes too, I'll take the needle minder off the project and I can like scan the floor with it and it'll pick up the needle if I drop it too. So
oh, that's genius.
yeah.
Do you do the thing where you put a pair of tights over the Hoover and Hoover up? Because that does the same, doesn't it? You can
Oh,
Hoover up, get your needle, and it sticks on the tights
I've
instead
never
of.
done that. That's a good idea.
Not that I have pairs of tights everywhere, by the way, but
Just for your vacuum.
so just thinking, what else? What else about cross stitch would you like to tell us? Is there anything else?
I have this other thing I could show.
Oh yes,
This was the very first one that I finished when I was seriously cross-stitching. I like the beach and I like California. Well, I used to. Um, I like the state. I don't like how the state is run, but so this hangs in my office / crafting room.
So is that when the weather's bad, you look at that picture and wish you were on the beach?
Yes, I look at the picture and it makes me feel better.
And is the background scrapbooking again?
Yep.
Or is that part? Yeah. Because
So-
I mean, you can obviously see clearer because you're there, but when you look at it through the screen, it looks like it's all part of the same
Oh, that's
image.
cool.
Because I think that would be a cool idea to do as a cross stitch pattern as well,
Yeah,
wouldn't it? To
it
have
would.
a frame. Adam saying it's like California pre-90s.
Yeah. So this is
And Modana, I like to think I'd know if I stabbed myself in the boob.
I know, right? So
And
these
also
are
Kat
stickers.
says, oh, sorry, go on.
No, you can read the thing.
I was going to say, yeah. So Kat the Aspie says, so ladies, not just lumps, but make sure you check for needles. Maybe not knitting needles, because I think you definitely know if you had one of them in you. Sorry,
These
go
are
on.
stickers
I'll just make
around.
you.
And then this is the paper. But then I have like the beach sticker, and then this sticker up here, and then this alcohol sticker. Oh, because I also love stitching alcohol. Because there's a cocktails in
Stitching
here.
alcohol.
Yeah, there's
right.
cocktail glasses in there. I don't know. I'm Russian. I like alcohol, so so that kind of draws me to patterns too. Superheroes, like realistic things, words, beach scenes like that. I like Christmas stuff and fancy things. Like there are things that have like sparkly threads and like beads and stuff. I like that. So
Cool. It's funny, isn't it? Because I know I'm drawn to less realistic things. I prefer cartoony style cross stitch. So because I know my cousin has cross stitched. This is why I know about cross stitch, because my cousin does it. She's done it for years. But some of the pictures she chooses, I just think, oh my god, I would never choose that to do. Because I would do Captain America, say, or a superhero, because I like that kind of slightly, out of the ordinary. But she will do these like really sort of twee. I don't know how to explain it, but she does things that I would expect a 90-year-old person to do.
yes,
We'll do something a bit more fun. Don't because I think I don't know. It's a bit. Well, then again, if you're a painter, say, some people would paint something really dull, and other people would paint something really. It's just taste, isn't it? I suppose.
yeah.
But I wanted to show you some of the patterns that we put in Block Magazine, because I want you to give us your critique, and you can be as harsh as you like.
Okay.
Because it's the first time we've done cross stitch, we might not have them perfect. You know what I mean? We're kind of playing around with it a little bit, so hopefully they'll get better. But I'll try and put it up on the screen now if I can remember what to do. People know I'm rubbish at tech, so they know I'm going to get this wrong, so don't worry. I'm not going to go through, I'll just fast forward to the actual cross stitch bits. Oh, here we go. So this is the first part. So it's if you look at the top there, they're actually two pictures, but you can join them together. They're meant to be one picture, really. But I thought people might want to, do them separately for some reason. So what we did is we present. I wasn't sure how to present it because I wasn't sure whether you have to put, because you have the image itself, which is just the colours. Then you have the symbols, don't you? But you can also have the symbols and the colours together. So I think we did all three on this, but I don't know whether that's normal or whether you would normally just have symbols or what, really. So did we do that bit right, first of all, by having all three?
Yes, all three is good. When I'm working on a pattern, I tend to like the black and white version with the symbol in the box because it makes it easy when you're on a PDF to highlight where you are. Yes.
So like this one on the left-hand
Right.
side here.
And also it makes it easy if you print it out and you want to highlight where you left off.
Where you've already
Yeah.
stitched, so
Yeah.
Yeah, because one of the things that when I was charting it out, one of the things I was wondering, and I didn't do it in the end because I wasn't sure whether it was a thing, but do designers choose specific symbols so that it will stand out from the next symbol, or do people not really care about that as long as it's different?
It should at least be different enough so that you don't accidentally get confused. So like if you
Right.
want to put like a slash in, then just put like it going one direction and don't have another one that's like the other way, unless you absolutely have to because you've run out of symbols or something.
Yeah, because that's something else that I
yeah,
didn't realise is that the
yeah,
symbols aren't standard, are they? You literally choose whatever
yeah.
symbols you want for whatever colour.
I think it
Um,
depends on the pattern, like
if,
software, because some of them have certain ones and some of them don't. So
but it's not by, say, DMC or Anchor, is it? The companies that do the
no,
floss don't decide that, do they?
no, I think it's the software that does it.
Right, I'll have to remember that because I know with these, I think some of them are similar. I think because especially the ones that are sort of a bit circular shaped, because there was like
Yeah,
a Q, I think I used, and then there was a circle, and that's probably going to be too near each other, isn't it?
yeah.
In terms of like how much space around it, if when you're buying a pattern, would you normally have all of that space in the pattern, or would they crop it right down to just the working area?
If you're designing it and presenting it, you can just crop it into the design area because what the stitcher will do is take the pattern and put it right in the middle of their fabric, but it doesn't matter if the pattern itself is up to the edge because, like, obviously you're only going to stitch the pattern. So, like, the stuff around the edge doesn't really matter because you'll just be measuring your fabric anyway, and so you will have space on the fabric when you're stitching, but like we know that, so it's fine to
Right.
crop it.
So we did a bit too much there,
Yeah,
didn't we?
you can crop it. Yeah.
And, and one thing that I did, and again, I don't know whether this was correct to do this or not, is that I kind of estimated how much fabric you would need to leave that border, but then I measured how much of the fabric was going to be used by the pattern itself. And put that in the design size there. I don't know if you can see that on the screen there. Do you normally have both of those measurements, or do you normally just have the measurement for the design itself?
You put the design area and then you put the, what is it called, fabric size measurements or something. So so the design area is just the design, and then the fabric area is where you would do, like, you add borders around for the different counts. So you would have both, yes.
Right, that's good then. Right, so in future we need to keep the design numbers in, but crop the actual image down a bit. So
Yeah.
it doesn't really matter how much of a border we leave on the image, does it really?
No, as long as the whole pattern is shown, then yeah, you're fine.
The other thing I wanted to ask you as well is I put the I got a little bit over what's the word? I was over egging the pudding the first one that I did, and I was using all these teeny tiny stitches. Are they called quarter stitches and things like that? And I was thinking, oh, this is perfect because I can really see what I want to draw here. And I did it all, and then I sent it to this lady, one of her friends called Therese, and she was like, ditch them.
Yeah.
Nobody likes quarter stitches. So I tried to get rid of as many as I could. I think I just kept them for the eyes. So whenever
Oh,
I've
yeah.
got an eye, I've done it for that. And I thought, people who are cross stitches can probably get around that if they don't like doing it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you can see where I've got figure 1 to figure 7 there. I zoomed in on the bits that we're either going to have back stitch or we're going to have these quarter stitches in. And again, I don't know whether this is something that's needed. Do you need that really on a pattern? Or is that just, again, too much?
You don't necessarily need to, like, you need on the pattern to show where the back stitch is and what color you want them to use and how many strands of back stitch, like how many strands of thread you want them to use. Because some people use one strand for the back stitch, other people use two. And it depends on the pattern. I don't know if there's more. I doubt it because the back stitch is really just the little details. But yeah, the quarter stitch, I think there's like dimensions kits will have like instructions. They'll be like, if you need to quarter stitch, that it shows you how to put it in. So you can, if you want, to leave that there, but it's not necessary because not everybody does it, and then people know how to figure it out. So that's really just up to you if you want to put.
How do you feel about quarter stitches?
I don't personally like quarter stitches. I like just the X, really. I don't even really like specialty stitches because it's not an X. I don't know.
Right. So you
yeah.
probably don't like, is it the half stitches where you do a full one going that way, say, and then just this bit?
Yeah, it just feels like I'm not done. But but I did do it on this one because it does make the background kind of fade back in the back. So I'll do it.
From a design point of view, it's nicer to use these little stitches because it makes the image a little bit clearer and a little bit less sort of pixelated. But obviously, from a cross stitches point of view, it's not as fun, is it? Because then you're having to do something really tiny, because some of these, especially because this is I designed this for a 14 count, which is the number of threads on a piece of Ada, isn't it? That's what you actually, and I did that I was advised to do that. But I don't know whether that is a good size for a pattern or not. I mean, I know it's like, is that what a more experienced cross stitcher would use, or would a beginner use that as well, or is it just a case of it doesn't really matter? It's just a smaller scale or bigger scale.
The beginners usually 14 count. So you are correct. That's probably good. Most patterns will have a default 14 count, but then the bigger ones we have like I don't know if you've heard of Heaven and Earth Designs, but they're a company that does like photorealistic patterns. So their patterns are like ginormous. They're like 900 stitches across and like 700 stitches down. Like it's huge, and they're amazingly gorgeous. But they get away with not using half crosses or quarter stitches or whatever, because they use a bajillion colors. So that's the trade-off. But there's
so is it the size as well? So is it a bit like they might be using 4 squares of a cross stitch rather than the one, because they've got it on such a big scale? So in effect, each one cross stitch is doing the job of a quarter stitch, isn't it? Just on a bigger scale. Is that kind of what? Oh, let me make you bigger again. Hold on.
This is on 25 count fabric. And so, because it's on 25 count fabric, he looks realistic. So if he was on a bigger fabric, like if he was on a 14 count, he would look more pixelated. And he wouldn't look bad, but he looks more realistic like a photo because the count size is smaller. So it's...
Right.
That's what Heaven and Earth does. And so that's not a Heaven and Earth design, but that's the same kind of idea that I took their idea and put him on 25 count because I knew that it would look like that. But the colors are what makes the pattern look realistic as well, because you can, like, if you change the color gradually between each item or whatever you're designing, it makes it look more realistic, but it also makes it harder because some stitchers don't like to change color all the time. So you need like
Yeah.
a balance. So you need like, because I don't like stitching big blocks of color all at once. I get bored and then I lose count and then I mess up and then it's terrible. Um, some stitchers are the opposite of me and they like that, but if they do it too much, they still get annoyed. So you have to have like a balance.
Yeah, because I suppose the more colours you use, the more weaving in at the end you've got to do, the more
Yeah.
putting of the yarn. Yeah, and I suppose there's going to be more wastage as well, isn't it? I mean, how do all? I mean, again, it's a you can't really answer this, but do all cross stitchers have a stash of floss, or is that just certain people do, or do other people just buy kits with just the exact amount that they need, or is it all of those things?
It's probably all of those things. I would guess maybe like 90% of stitchers have a floss stash somewhere. Some people prefer kits, other people prefer like digital patterns, some people like both. I like everything. So so I
And
have a
so,
floss stash, I have kits, and I have digital patterns.
right. So if you were looking, so say if you were a cross stitcher looking in the magazine now, and you saw, for example, so there's two patterns on this section, and I tried to keep the number of colours down as much as possible. Um, would that be something that would appeal or not appeal? And not necessarily the colours, because it's brown and black
Yeah.
and boring bare colours, really. But if it was only had 4 or 5 colours, is that a good thing for a cross stitch pattern or a bad thing from
For
your
the
point?
for the smaller ones, it's fine because
Right.
you
But
have
if it
like
was the
a small pattern, you have 4 or 5 colors. That's pretty average. Like the ones I designed, I think only have like 2 or 3 colors because they're just words. So I just
is it sort of the thing? If the bigger it is, the more variety you want
kinda,
because you're
yeah,
going to get a bit bored. So if
yeah,
it's small, it's okay. It doesn't really
yeah.
matter. And how long? I don't know whether you can see how big this is. So it's about 3 inches by 2.5 inches, just to
Oh,
round it down.
cool.
So how long would that take you to cross stitch something like that?
If I did it every day for the amount of time that I normally stitch, maybe a week.
Ah, right. So it is quite quick.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
quite small, so yeah.
Yeah.
But I would have to
Would,
do it every day. That is my problem.
yeah, you put it to one side and then start a new one because that's what I do with knitting. It's like, yeah, I'm
Yes,
bored of that now. I need something new to do.
yes, that is
So
me.
So this is the other one of the same thing. So we talked about that now.
Oh,
So
yeah.
skip over. Now this one is by the one on the right hand side here is by Mockingbird Realm. Sorry, I know her by a real name. I wasn't sure what a pseudonym was, and I love this because it was just something I was completely not expecting. You know, she just sent it to me and said, "Do you want to use this?" Now she did use a lot of half stitches on this, you know, to
Oh,
make some of the more rounded shapes and stuff.
okay.
Um, but do you get many things like this where it's just almost like catalogue, isn't it? Like a
Yeah.
catalogue of guns in there. You know, is that something you get in cross stitch, or is that
Yes.
unusual?
No, that's not unusual at all. That's more of like a sampler style of cross stitch. I didn't show any, like, because I don't have any finished, but yeah, samplers are great because they'll have, you'll like the guns, you have just a random selection of assortment of whatever. I have some patterns that are like a random assortment of like food. Like I have one that's
Yeah.
called wine and desserts. So it's got like wine and then it has like a wine bottle and then wine glasses and then it's got like cheese on the side. Like, yeah, those are really fun. I actually really, really like that kind of style. And these
Yeah.
are the more
Sorry.
like modern samplers because like samplers in general were like, you've seen like the really old ones where it's like A, B, C, D, E and there's like a
Yeah.
house and like that's a traditional sampler.
Ah, right. Yeah. So basically, this is just doing a modern version of that in a way, isn't it?
I think so, yes.
Yeah. And I don't know. I think she must have cross stitched this up so fast because she already had one made up, and that's the image on the right there. Is the
That's
finished
cool.
piece. Um, and then the last one.
Oh, yeah.
This is another one I did. Now I didn't put any extra information in this because what I thought was it's kind of self-explanatory in a way. I did put the colours that I'd used, but you wouldn't need to stick to that, would you? You could use any colours you wanted on
Yeah.
something like this. So that's why I thought, well, I'll leave it as it is, and hopefully people will be able to figure out, because I don't even think the measurements are on. Let me just double check. No, we didn't even put the measurements on this. I have the measurements, so if anybody wants them, I can pass them on. But I bought some stuff because I was going to do this because I thought I'd like to have this on the wall behind me.
Yeah.
But I've talked about this before, but I'll tell you now because you'll think, oh, what an idiot! Why did he do that? But I ordered some Ada, and but because I mean it's not a problem, I'm going to use it still. But because I was doing it online and I couldn't actually see what I was doing, I'll just take this off for a second. I ordered this. I don't know whether it's showing up, but it's glitter in it. But I didn't realise. I just thought it was going to be like a beige, but it's got like a gold or kind of coppery thing through it. But I thought, I'm still going to use it. And I cut it down. I measured it and cut it down. So that's how big it will be.
Okay.
Do it that way. So it's going to take me about 5 years to do it.
Right, yeah.
But here's where I made the F up. Well, I think it'll be okay. But actually the label's gone. I can't find the label now. Never mind, I'll still tell you what it is. So I thought, this is a bargain. I got a big job lot of these threads. But then, when I looked closer, it's, does it say it on here? Actually, it should be okay. It was actually for making friendship bracelets.
Okay.
But it is... can't do this. Was
it's actually
really see,
yeah. It looks like
and it is and you can pull the threads out of it.
Okay.
So
yeah,
it's called floss. It is called a 6-strand floss.
Okay, yeah.
So that should work, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
But one thing I wasn't sure, and again, I don't know what is it cotton. What is this made of? Yeah, it's 100% cotton. So I don't know whether that's a good thing for stitching with or not. Because I know you can stitch with wool, can't you, or mohair even. But does it make a difference how good the floss is?
Yes, because the floss, if you're stitching and it breaks off or it frays or it just kind of does like weird fiddly bits, it will annoy you. So, as long as
I'm going to be throwing this in the bin probably.
I hope not. As long as it doesn't fray on you or like break when you're trying to pull it through, it should be fine.
I did. I got some black because I'm going to be using a lot of black around the edges, and that is actually DMC, so that should be okay.
Yeah.
So I'll probably know when I start doing it when I'm doing this. Think, what? I can't use this shit stuff.
It should be fine though. Like when you stitch it up, it should look the same. Like it, it's thread. So. Also for future reference, if you're looking online to buy fabric and it says opalescent in front of it, that's going to be the glittery stuff.
I probably did. You probably did say that.
Yeah.
Wouldn't have even registered.
So now you know.
I mean, it's no problem really.
Yeah.
I just thought, well, it'll probably make it look okay. But then I was thinking, is it like glitter where I'm going to get it on my fingers?
No,
but it isn't. I think it's actually woven in, isn't it? Yeah.
I think it'll look good on your back wall, though, because the light will catch the glitter, and then you can see it more. That would be cool.
Yeah, but don't expect it anytime soon.
No, I know. I know how I stitch, so I assume that,
Diana said, Neil, you should cross-stitch your block logo on that Ada with black floss. Well, I was going to do the outline in black and the sort of little splattery bits. Hang on, I'll put it back up again so you know what I'm talking about. So I was going to do an outline, little splattery bits in black. And then I was just going to ignore the colours that I'd put on there and just, pick what I fancied doing for each letter and maybe even blending some together a little bit, like where it's blue, maybe even have a dark and a green and a light, and I don't know, just play around with it really. I don't know whether I'd do it in lines or whether I would just randomly do it. I don't know. Probably have to do it in lines really, wouldn't I? Otherwise I'm going to get in a mess on the back.
You don't necessarily have to. So I know earlier I said I don't really do half stitches all the way and then go back. but sometimes I do if it's for something that's like got multicolors like that. So like this one actually, I did that over here because I needed to go from like here to here, but I didn't want to drag the thread. So this is what that back looks like when you do that. It's kind of more like a path. So whatever I stitched, it would like, I went half this way, half up, and then I crossed it back. So this is all stitched in, so it's not dragged across.
Cool.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yes, so you can do that for yours.
Yeah, because if you were doing, there's a word for it, isn't there? What's that? When you fade it in, a bit like a sunset, isn't
Kinda,
it?
yeah.
That definitely goes in lines, doesn't it?
Yeah, so you can do that with yours. And also, if you stitch too, like, regimented, you'll kind of get the, like, lines in your fabric. Because it's when you pull the tension in a certain direction and then you pull it back a certain direction, it kind of just, like, creates these lines, so you don't really want to do that either. If you want the design to look kind of, like, uniform.
When you finish the piece,
yeah.
In knitting, we have this thing where we call blocking. So you finish knitting, and then you wash it, and then you pin it out how you want it to be, and it dries that way, and it evens out all the tension issues that you've got.
Yes.
Does the same thing happen with cross stitch?
Yeah, actually, if you wash it. Although I don't usually wash my stuff because I use hand-dyed fabric, and you can't really like guarantee that the colors won't like run off of it, so I just don't. So I just stitch kind of everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you're taking a bit of your fabric that you might need. Yeah. Diana says, I love the shading. I can get with half and quarter stitches. I can get. Oh, does that mean that you're happy to do half and quarter stitches? Because tell me that, and I'm going to put them in every pattern I do. So if you don't like doing them, you might want to say, no, don't put them in every pattern.
Or you could do like 2 different versions. I don't know. That might be too complicated, though. Take up too much of your time.
Do you do tutorials on your channel?
I have like maybe 3. I had one where I was just filming myself how I start a project. And then I decided if anybody wanted to do it that way, they could, but it wasn't really like an official tutorial.
Starting is the tricky bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
And even when you're starting with a new colour, because some people do this weird thing with a loop, I can't remember what it's called, where you thread it the opposite way around than you would normally, is that right?
Yeah.
And then you catch that loop on the back, don't you? So you don't have I can't remember how you do it now, but I would have to watch that.
Yeah.
You only do that at the beginning of a new piece of floss, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And why do you always start in the middle?
It's so that you can guarantee that your design will fit on the fabric and that it is centered. Because you can start in the left, but obviously you will have measured your fabric, and if everything is good, it will be the correct size. But if you start and you don't measure right on the left-hand side, if you start up there, sometimes your pattern will be off-center. So if you want it to be directly in the center, then you start in the middle, and it will guarantee that your pattern is in the middle.
Right, and you literally just fold the cloth into quarters, don't you? And then it's that middle dot.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. And do you this again? This is really basic information that I don't know. But with the different the count. So you got 14 count, and then is it like every 2? Is it 14, 16, 18? Is that how it works, or is it?
Yes, I believe
something like that, isn't it?
The only weird one I think is like it goes 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, and then it goes 25.
Ah.
And then it goes 36, and then it goes 40. And I think it's because of stitching over 2. So I think you and I have talked about this before, where you stitch over 2 blocks. So if you have a piece of 36 count fabric, if you stitch over 2, it's the same thing as stitching over 1 on 18 count. That's, I
Ah,
think, why the numbers are weird, because it's the math.
right. So you could use different cloths, even though the pattern has said
Yeah.
X, you can just adapt it yourself. And once you know what you're doing, you could do it for pretty much any size, could you?
Yeah.
So if you've got something like that, not that you would, but that bear, say if you said, "Oh, I want that as a bedspread," you would know what to do to scale that up.
Yeah. And
But,
there's only a certain amount to the patterns. If the pattern is small, then like scaling it up to like an 11 count, it would still be kind of small just because the pattern initially was small, but it would be significantly larger, but maybe not
right.
blanket size. But yeah, that's the correct idea anyway that you said.
And does it matter what needle you use, or do you have to use a different needle size for the Ada size, like the
Um,
stitch?
I use sharper needles for something like Captain America because, so this one here, I'm using the same count of fabric. This is also 25 count, but sometimes it gets kind of thick back here when you're stitching in the same area, so it gets a little harder to poke through. So I use embroidery needles, which are pointy on the tip, so then I can just poke it through and I don't have any problems. But the cross stitch needles are usually blunt, and so it's fine if I'm not stitching on 25 count, but
So with the really sharp needles,
yeah.
how many times how many times have you stabbed yourself?
I haven't yet, but no guarantees for later. Because I was like, okay, this is really sharp, be careful. So I've been I've been lucky so far.
Because I use if I'm knitting socks, I use very very sharp double pointed needles, and they're only about that long, but you have 4 of them, and you can guarantee every time I get that needle, because the sharp gets right under my nail of my thumb, and every time it's like, why do I do this to myself? I could just bloody buy socks. But it's part of the craft, isn't it? If there's no pain, there's no gain, so we've got to do that.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you again about the center point.
Yeah.
So I just want to show you that. So do you have to show where that center point is for the cross stitcher on the pattern?
Yeah.
So let me find another one. Like I don't know whether I did it on these or not. So would there be like a coloured bit in the very very center? How would they show that it was the center?
It's usually like an arrow. Let's see if I can. Where is my thing that I had? I had Patrick Bateman over here. I can kind of show you what it looks like on an actual pattern. So up at the top, this is the middle, so this black arrow is where on the pattern you would mark that as this arrow right here is the middle. And then there's also one for the, this is vertical, so you'd have one for the horizontal as well. So then it would be like an arrow at the top and an arrow on the side. And I usually only see 2. So usually what I'll do is draw a red line. I will do that. You don't have to do that. Across the pattern with like a Sharpie or something, and then I will find the middle with those red lines that cross, and then I'll start.
And that is the point you start.
Yeah.
Regardless of what colour that is. So you don't go. I bet a lot of people want to go for their favourite colour first, wherever the red is or whatever. Yeah. So, right. So it's a bit like reading an old map, isn't it? So you're doing, what's it called? Grid referencing, isn't it? Yeah. Where you look for the number along the top and and then you match it up. Right, okay. I think I did that by accident on one of mine, and I don't know whether it was in the right place, so I'm not going to put it back up on the screen in case it's not. So hopefully everyone will find the middle part of that. Oh, I'm just going to reply to Jason. Yes, it is Father Christmas. It's always Christmas in my house, so. And So, is there anything else you want to tell us or want to talk about? Is there any other things? How do we find you on the internet, on YouTube?
Night Stitch is my cross stitch channel. Let me see if I can find the actual like @ symbol, because YouTube has those handles now. It's like
just remembering to put my like and subscribe thing at the bottom of the screen.
Well, that's easy. Mine's just @Night Stitch.
So if you look at how Veronica spelt it under the picture there, it's just that with the @ sign in front, but with no space.
Right. And then if
so Night with a K.
Yeah, because that's my middle name, so I thought it would be fitting.
Right. I was thinking, yeah, because your logo is a knight, isn't it?
Yep.
Like, with a sword. Or no, not your logo, but there's an image of a knight on something that I've seen. Or am I making that up?
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah. That's my intro thing to my Flosstube.
That's quite cool because because there's also like that dark side as well to it. Yeah, so I like that.
Okay, and then my other channel, I'm going to put this in here. If you want, it's not crafting related. It's more like my thoughts and just commentary and random movie reviews and rants and things. You can go to that other channel. It's called I Have a Headache.
Well, I have to say, that is where I met you, if you like. And I absolutely love your videos on there.
Oh,
one thing I'll say is how good your editing is. You must spend hours putting them together, because I mean, the very first videos I did on here, the first 3 or 4 I did and then edited after, and how that is such hard work, which is why now I just do them all live, because I can't be bothered doing that. But yours, you put yourself in, you have a background, you have things flying in and out, and it's like, how do you do that? It must take you hours to do that.
It depends on the length of the video. Some of them have taken hours. And then again, like my cross stitching, if I don't work on it every day, then it takes like weeks. So yeah, some
of the things because you kind of tackle, the woke stuff in the world.
Yeah, it made me so angry. Like, so I joined a cross stitch group in like 2013 when I first started on Facebook, because it was fun, because I don't have anybody that cross stitches around me. So I was like, I can share these pictures online, and people were like, oh, that's fun, and and they talk to you about it and whatever, and it was fine for a few years, and then all this woke stuff started coming in, and I was ignoring it because I was just stabbing fabric. And then it decides to infiltrate my stabbing fabric, and I'm just like, you know what? I'm done. So I made my other channel, and I screamed about it. So that is how that is born.
You're very, well, what's the word? I don't know that it translates in American, but we call it deadpan. Where someone just, you don't give any emotion away, really, apart from when you're really angry about something. I love the delivery. You just kind of, I don't know, it's just like, it has some kind of more of an impact to me. The one, obviously I particularly liked it because I kind of helped you with it, was the one you did about the book. Was it genderqueer? I love that. You did such a good job of that. Because you literally talked about the whole thing, and I didn't think you were going to do that. You went page by page. You? So there's no arguing that you knew what you were talking about. When you were showing what was in that book. I don't recommend reading the book, by the way, but I do recommend watching Veronica's video on it, because you don't have to read it then. Just listen to what Veronica says, and that's it. You can walk away and forget about it. But that was unbelievable, wasn't it, that book?
Yeah.
To think it's for kids. Well, I'm assuming it's for kids. I don't know what the age.
I don't know, teenagers, but still, that's weird. I'm like, I did not need to know any of that, and I'm an adult.
Yeah, I think I got from it. The thing that, I realised more so than ever was how much that people that are in that world, how everything is about them.
Yeah.
They literally everything. It's like every inner thought this person was having was about themselves,
Yeah.
and it's like, do they never think about anything else? You know what?
No.
You know, like what's for tea, or what do you want to do at the weekend? It's like me, me, me. I feel this, and it's just like wow. So in a way, it was kind of good to understand that level of narcissism, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah.
But So your other channel is I don't think you've done much on the other channel recently, have you? Is that on the back burner for a while?
Yeah, I'm working on another video, but as you know, I need to figure out a way to. I want to do both channels because I tend to do this thing where I'll focus on one channel and fall off the earth on the other one, and I really don't want to do that. I hate doing that. So I need to
I get that. I get that because I have the same thing with this channel and the magazine. I work really hard on the magazine and completely forget this channel exists, and then the opposite. When I start getting interviews again and get people on, I just forget about the magazine. Yeah, it's natural. I think that, isn't it?
But I am working on another video for that one, so there's more coming. I'm
going to do a bit of self-promotion here. So if anybody so feels, if you feel like it, you can join the Patreon and help pay for the magazine if you should want to. No pressure. This is the only time I do it. So it's there if you want to. And I've released a new issue today. So the cross-stitch patterns that we were just looking at before are from the latest issue, which is issue 14. And I'll just show you. I'm not going to go through the whole thing. Don't worry. I just want to mention the cover. So the lovely Anne Pinkover is the model of the cover. That I think her brother took the photos. I'm not sure. And the theme of the issue is bare arms. So and everyone that contributed sort of played around with that title and came up with something related. So it was bare arms, as in your Second Amendment. I think it is. Is it second? Yeah, or bare arms as in literally bears with arms, or bare arms as in, nothing on your arms. So it was quite a fun one to do because there was a lot of things we could play around with. So if you want to read that, it's in my link tree, and I'll just share that now. That's on the screen there. So it's just Linktree, then Block Magazine, all one word. And if you do, please share it. Get as many people to look at it as possible. And you might find it's not just knitting, it's not just crochet, it's not just cross stitch. There's some woke things that we critique in there. One of the things that we talk about this issue is the size inclusivity nonsense. So it's all about, fat people having to be catered for. And I can talk about this one because I'm fat, so I can say what I like and they can't criticize me for it for once. And and also this thing called the OOEKO text thing, which is this new regulation that's come in for fabrics, and it probably applies to cross-stitch floss as well. And it's something new that I'd never heard of before, so I did a bit of a dive into that. So that's all in that issue, so please go and have a look at it. So anyway, back to normal. What was you going to say then? Sorry, I think I interrupted you then, didn't I?
No, you're totally fine. I was just going to say I'm in the process of editing another video for the I Have a Headache channel, so I'm not abandoning things. If I drop off the face of the earth on one of my channels, just check the other one.
Yeah, look for proof of life. Yeah.
Although I am going to try to get better at, I want to do both, consistently. I don't want to drop off the face of the earth on one of them. And I know I do that, so it's a weakness I have. I'm trying to improve it.
Well, it's interesting you separate the two, which I think is quite healthy, isn't it? Because otherwise, I know what I do, it kind of all gets meshed into one. And when something crappy happens, it has a bad effect on your own crafting, because you don't want to knit that day, because something crappy's happened in the knitting world. It kind of puts you off a little bit. So at least by separating it, you keep... Mm-hmm. Oh, that's something I wanted to ask you. Mm-hmm. You mentioned it a little bit earlier, but how much of the woke nonsense has infiltrated the cross-stitch world? Is it the same level as the knitting world, or is it about the same? Is it less or more?
I know about the Ravelry explosion, so I would say that it's the same level of stupid.
Right. So I've got a whole new audience to hate me. Yeah!
Yay! But as I'm wearing this shirt that says cancel culture is for pussies, I really don't care. Anyway, so the cross stitch group I joined in 2013 that was really fun became not fun because of the admin. And I was like, are you serious? Because one day the admin, it was like during election time, I think, and they were going psycho. I don't know why. Whatever. I don't care.
Trump.
Yeah. I'm like, okay, he's just a man. Calm down. Whatever. Anyway, so one of the admins made a post about, he was just ranting and screaming at everybody, and I was just like, what on earth is going on? And then the other admin was like, race is political. I like banning people. And I was like, what? And then, I don't know, like a week and a half later, the admins were like, well, this isn't fun anymore, so we're shutting this group down. And I was like, you guys are the ones who made it not fun.
Wow.
Your own fault. Stop hitting yourself.
Yeah, it is that, isn't it? Because they kind of destroy everything from within. Yeah, and then when they've got rid of the people that don't agree with them, then they destroy themselves again. There's somebody new that they go for, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's horrible that they do this. Has there been like a big cancelling? Anybody famous in the cross stitch world that's been cancelled, or has that not happened really?
As far as I know, no, there hasn't. But I did randomly hear of like a company that may have. It wasn't like an individual person. There's a company called Weeks Dye Works, and they're like a floss dyer. I think they dye fabric as well. I don't know if they have patterns, but they had a fabric that was called, or maybe a thread, I don't know, whatever one it was. It had Confederate in the name, and people flipped the shit out about it. And I was like, you guys, stab your fabric and shut up. Oh, I was so irritated. So, like, that company, I think, had some issues. I still have Weeks Dye Works. Some people refuse to say Weeks Dye Works on their Flosstube channels because they're, like, paranoid they'll get canceled or something. And it's like, dude, no one cares, okay? No one
So is it weeks
cares.
as in weeks of the year? W-E?
Yes.
Is that how you spell it? Yeah, so W-E-E-K-S.
Yes.
Right. Because I'm going to go and have a look at their site and
then,
might buy something from them.
D-Y-E and then Works. So I think they usually sell their stuff through like 123 Stitch or everythingcrossstitch.com because I'm pretty sure their website is like a distribution website, so they sell two different shops.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
there was another thing that I was really, this wasn't a cancellation, but it was like a piss off Veronica problem. It was like the Mirabilia group on Facebook, and Mirabilia is a designer that she makes like these gorgeous patterns of like women in like beautiful fancy dresses in like different scenarios. So I have one called Christmas in London, and it's this girl and she's got like a window that she's standing at, and there's like a fountain, I think, behind her. I don't know. I haven't stitched it, so it's like just the leg of a statue or something. She's got a really pretty dress on. So that's the kind of patterns that they design. And they released one year, and for some reason, people were like mad because the person in it wasn't diverse enough. And I was like, you know, if you go into your
it's exhausting,
DMC,
isn't it?
right. If you go into your DMC stash, which I know all of you have, guess what DMC has? Floss that is skin tone colored. And guess what you can do with it? Match the symbol to the skin tone color you want and shut up.
Yeah, so who's the racist? The person that isn't choosing to use that thread? Yeah, you can twist it around. Oh, it's crazy. Have you heard about Hobby Lobby? Because I'm assuming they sell cross-stitch things. I mean, that, I was reading on CraftSnap the other day, where somebody wrote on there, And I think I'm going to try and get it as word for word as I can. They said Hobby Lobby are literally calling for gay people to be killed in the streets, like literally. And it's like, what? And somebody else said, if it wasn't for gay people, my local Hobby Lobby wouldn't exist because most of the staff there are gay. I mean, we don't have Hobby Lobby here. But it's like, when has anybody ever said that here? When has anybody called for anybody to be executed? You know, and then I'm not even going to get into it. I could go on all day about it. But, but I just wonder what your opinion on this is how do they make these massive leaps, you know, from something like, I don't know, mentioning the word Confederate in a title to whatever that meant to them at the other end, you know? I just don't get it.
It's their social justice textbook that they all have in their heads. So there's a list of words that you can't say or you'll be canceled. So you can't say Confederate, you can't go to Hobby Lobby, you can't buy Weeks Dye Works, or and if you say those things, you're fired. I think that...
So I need to come up with a cross-stitch pattern with the word Confederate in it, where it recommends using Weeks Dye Works floss. What else?
And make a shop, like design a shop and put Hobby Lobby as the shop. Dude, I would buy that pattern from you, and I would model stitch it for you.
I'm going to do it.
Yes.
I'm going to put something together with all these things in it. I'm going to, because that might be one of the ideas where it could be a little bit each issue, couldn't it? You know, just one little bit of the nonsense, you know, each time that makes a bigger picture.
Yes.
Yeah, Diana says, crazy people see what they want to see.
So true. So
yeah.
true.
Yeah, that's given me so many ideas now. And now you've said it on air, you're going to have to do it.
Yeah, I totally want to. I'm excited.
How big do you want it? How big a piece do you want it?
Probably, I'd say 100 by 100 is maybe the max. Because I think you can put a lot of stuff in 100 by 100.
Yeah,
I mean,
so anything smaller than that, basically, as long as it doesn't go above that.
Yeah.
I will do it in small. I'll put it in smaller sections because obviously it's going to be easier to have a bigger chart for that little bit then, isn't it? You know, rather than having a huge chart that you can't see.
Like the whole thing, it may be 100 by 100. Like it doesn't have to be a square if it doesn't fit your design, but like just that general, and then you can release like pieces of the 100 by 100.
Oh, that's going to be fun. I'm going to enjoy this. I'm going to have to do some research on Hobby Lobby though, because I've never seen a Hobby Lobby. I have no idea what they look like.
Oh yeah, they have big orange, like a big orange sign on there, like their letters are orange.
And do we want a Confederate flag on there as well somewhere, just to really rub it in?
Oh, that's hilarious. I mean, I guess
they can't cancel me because I've already been cancelled, so they can't do anything more to me.
You could put a statue or something that's supposed to be like a Confederate general.
Yeah, because they were knocking them all down, weren't they? They were destroying them all.
And then it would be less like obvious that it was a Confederate like thing.
Yeah. Or the car from the Dukes of Hazzard. Have that in the car park of
Hobby Lobby. Yes.
What was it? The General Lee, I think it was called,
yes.
wasn't it?
I'm so excited. I'm so excited, Neil.
Yeah, Judi Dench. This is going to have nothing. This is going to be so much better than Judi Dench.
It would be funny if she decided to stitch that because she liked it.
Oh, can you imagine? That'd be cool.
Judi Dench, I am calling you to cross-stitch Neil's pattern.
Yeah, because I know Judy is an avid fan, so she will be watching this now.
We can only hope, because she is awesome.
Yeah, I like Judy, and she's quite cool, isn't she?
Yeah, she's awesome.
So is there anything else that we wanted to cover, or have we sort of talked about everything now? What do you think?
I told you about the center thing. That was the only thing I really wanted to say because of you're going to design more stuff. I don't know.
So the ones that we've done so far is a good start then, would you say?
Oh yeah, I really want to
We're on the
stitch
right
that
track.
gun one.
Well, it's there now. It's all you can get you can
I
download it for
know.
free because everything's going to be free. We're never going to charge. So
I copied your link tree link in my notes so that I can get to your magazine.
just like so. Well, how much can I say? I've designed 6 future ones that are going to be released over the next 6 issues. I think I don't know how I'm going to do it yet, but let's just say they're. How can I don't? I want to blurt it out and say what it is, but I can't. I'm hoping it's something a little bit new. I'll tell you off air. I'll tell you what it is when we.
Okay.
When we call. And that people don't. I don't think people do this very often in cross stitch, but I think it's something a little bit fun, and hopefully, it's not going to upset anybody. But it might. But then again, if it does, it does. Who cares?
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. I don't
Yeah.
know.
So I've got this idea now for the Hobby Lobby Confederate thing and all of that. But the other thing is, if anyone's watching and you've got any ideas for a set of cross stitch individual ones that can be put together, so like a theme is what I'm looking for. So if you've got any ideas of something that's a little bit different, so not like your usual, I don't know, trees, you know what I mean, or
Flowers,
or there's something that's just a little bit different. That obviously doesn't cross anybody's copyright problems, or can't have Captain America and Iron Man, because I can't do that, much as I would like to. So if you do, let us know. And I think that's about everything, isn't it? I think. So, Veronica.
Yes.
Of Night Stitch.
You want to knit, don't you?
Yeah, all the way through this, I've been almost saying knit instead of cross stitch all the way through. Anyway, you have been blocked.